18 points. Duke routs Wisconsin 82-58. 2 years later, 2009, here, Trayvon Hughes, a career-high 26 points, and the Badgers take down the Blue Devils 73-69. Tonight, we've got a top 5 matchup for you. Number 4, Duke. Number 2, Wisconsin, as we check out the Sonic Showdown. The Blue Devils have the best record of any program in either conference in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and they can really fill it up. And Wisconsin, Jay, they're just doing what they do. They're efficient offensively. They take care of the ball as Okafor slams it in to make it 6-4. They don't foul. They get to the free throw line. It's a typical Bo Ryan team this year. But maybe we shouldn't say it's a typical Bo Ryan coach team, but probably the most talented team that he's had.
Well, Duke's got 9 McDonald's All-Americans, and Bronson Koenig of Wisconsin said, well, they've got 7 guys that were Wisconsin high school All-Stars. Duke doesn't have any of those. But this is a really talented team that's really well schooled, and they play well together.
Tap no good, and then down with the rebound is Okafor. All of the points in this game have been scored by the centers.
And scored the way that they like to play, with Okafor near the basket, Kaminsky pulling Okafor away from the bucket and scoring with threes. I think they have to continue to look to get the ball inside to Jahlil Okafor. Good job to look for the ball and look for the angle there.
Cook steps in, kicks it. Jones rises up for a 3, and the rebound to Gossard. This is Koenig, a sophomore. Comes off the bench early for Jackson often. It figures to be his team next year. Jackson's a senior. Gossard's a senior. Koenig doesn't get the bounce. Some cold shooting early for both teams.
Anytime Kaminsky sets that back pick up top and he gets a switch with a guard, he's got to take that guy right into the post.
And Quinn Cook, who's having an outstanding senior season, gives Duke the lead. Cook comes in at better than 15 points per game and shooting 43% from 3.
Well, how well has he played? Career highs in field goal percentage and points. He's an outstanding basketball player, and Mike Krzyzewski said he's led even better than he's played.
Dukin for 3. And the tap out by Kaminsky.
Smart play. He probably could have grabbed that, but knocking it back out. Oftentimes we'll go to an open three-point shooter. At least it gives you that opportunity.
Kaminsky with Jefferson on him. Now Dukin's open. If the 7-footer doesn't hit the 3, the 6'10" guy will.
They went for the double team. The rotation had to come from Jahlil Okafor. That's a long way for him to recover to an open three-point shooter, especially one that's 6'10" and Douye Dukin.
And there may not be another team in America, Jay, where all 5 guys who are on the court at any given time, they can all shoot the 3. Jones absorbs the bump and hits the floater to tie the game at 9. Both teams now starting to heat up.
Well, Dan, that's why I've compared Wisconsin a little bit to the San Antonio Spurs in that Bo Ryan puts 5 guys on the floor that all can score. You have to guard all 5 guys, and it puts you into rotation. It makes it awfully difficult to double team, and they burned Duke on that last double team opportunity because of that.
And there's a touch foul out on the perimeter on Okafor.
Now take a look when Frank Kaminsky gets the ball inside. Emil Jefferson guarding him, and now all of a sudden Quinn Cook comes over to double. Look at the distance that Jahlil Okafor has to cover in order to get a hand up on Douye Dukin, and Dukin catches it ready to shoot. This guy's 6'10", and Okafor's got to operate in a space where he's not comfortable. And they put him out on the perimeter. He just picked up a foul just because he puts his hand on a ball handler and picks up a needless foul out on the perimeter.
Dukin hit a number of threes for the Badgers down in the Bahamas, including 2 in the semifinal win over Georgetown. He doesn't hit them. They don't get to the final. They went on to beat Oklahoma to win the championship.
Well, Duke's got a lot of different guys in unusual spots. He's got small guys guarding inside. Decker's being guarded by Suleiman down low.
Suleiman's checked in along with Marshall Plumlee for Duke. Matt Jones as well. Open is Koenig. So all the points for the Badgers have come on 3-pointers so far.
Dan, that's just beautiful basketball. Get the ball inside, relocate. Koenig ready to shoot. It's the way the game's supposed to be played.
Suleiman answers at the other end, and it's tied again.
Duke's going to be able to get open shots. The question is, will they hit them all night? You can get pull-up jump shots coming off of ball screens. You might not be able to get all the way to the bucket, but you can get pull-ups.
And Dukin maybe overhandling a little bit, turns it over, and then fouls Winslow. And that'll take us to the under 12 media timeout. It is tied at 12. It's been all threes for Wisconsin, including the corner three by Bronson Koenig. But Duke right back with the answer as Rasheed Suleiman knocks one down. And it's 12-12 in this top 5 matchup. Frank Kaminsky, an easy choice to be one of the preseason top 50 candidates, a preseason first-team All-American, the MVP down in Atlantis last week, the most outstanding player of the West Regional. Remember the game against Arizona, 28 points and 11 rebounds. He got knocked around a little bit in the game against Georgetown last week, came back and played very well in the second half of the championship against Oklahoma, had foul trouble in the first half, and now no Okafor in the game, so Kaminsky on Plumlee as Cook sneaks inside and gives the Blue Devils the lead.
Well, that's a really good job by Quinn Cook of turning the corner. He got an angle on Josh Gosser, one of the best defenders in the country, and an all Big Ten, all defensive team member. Boy, this is good for Duke to be able to pressure D.A. Duke, and he's turning that thing over. That's 2 in a row.
Ball is still loose, and it's Marshall Plumlee who picks it up and slams it home.
Duke is forcing the big guys of Wisconsin to handle the ball in spots they don't want to be handling it. Duke in 2 turnovers in a row against Justice Winslow.
And now a foul against the Blue Devils. It'll be on Matt Jones.
After Dukin mishandles it due to the pressure of Justice Winslow, another excellent defender. Matt Jones, who's come into the ball game from Texas, first to the floor, and Duke winds up getting an easy basket out of it. An easy basket because they worked really hard.
And Mike Krzyzewski's really happy with the work of some of his bench players. Matt Jones has clearly improved from last year. Plumlee's been energetic as always, very efficient, and Suleiman really seems to have found his niche this year, coming off the bench, and although his role has changed, came in, was he going to be a big-time scorer? And now he's really more defender-distributor, Jay, than he is a scorer for this team.
Well, he can come in and play some point. He's an excellent defender and a guy who, when he comes into the game, can look to make a three, but also put the ball on the deck and attack the rim. And he's not playing a ton of minutes, but he's much more efficient this year in the minutes that he's playing.
That was the second foul on Cook. That is a loss for the Blue Devils.
Tyus Jones.
Okafor, Jefferson, and Tyus Jones back into the game and out for Duke.
Wisconsin doing a good job of lifting up the Duke defense, therefore they can drive baseline. You don't see these Wisconsin guards miss many free throws. An excellent free throw shooting team, but especially the guards.
And a team, you always like this stat, they have made more free throws than their opponents have attempted this year. And that's not a fluke. It happened last year as well. Matt Jones, tough shot off the glass.
Tough shot over a 6'9" defender in Sam Decker.
Duke's made 7 of their last 8. And Wisconsin still has not made a 2-point field goal in this game until now.
What a hesitation move.
And Jackson brings him back within 2.
Trayvon Jackson may not be the quickest guard in the Big Ten, but that hesitation move was spectacular. He's so strong.
Tyus Jones too strong. Rebound down to Jackson.
And Jackson's going to look to push it.
Knocked out of bounds by Jones.
Jackson has a size and strength advantage over Tyus Jones, and just off that little drag screen, he's able to back it up, hesitate, and get all the way to the rim. Because Wisconsin's guys all can shoot it, you've got to stay with your man. You can't just pack it into the lane. Otherwise, Jackson will be able to pick you apart, hit it to an open three-point shooter. And that opens up the lane.
The son of former Ohio State star Jimmy Jackson, Trayvon Jackson, who really came in as a 2-guard, has adapted to the point guard role in the last couple of years. Decker with a nice move, but couldn't knock down the jumper.
Kaminsky trying to take that switch and take Tyus Jones down into the low post, but the pressure didn't allow the pass.
Good burst of speed by Suleiman, and the Blue Devils are up 4.
Duke is getting easier shots than Wisconsin. They're shooting a much better percentage because they're taking better twos, and Wisconsin is staying right in this because of their three-point shooting ability.
Close out there by Jones, but Kaminsky's open. And we have a foul going against
Okafor.
Duke.
It's on Okafor.
Yeah.
He ran over Nigel Hayes.
That is the second foul on Okafor. That's going to send him to the bench. So they've lost Cook with 2 and Okafor with 2.
And they're both kind of what you would call needless fouls. Putting 2 hands on a ball handler out on the perimeter, because that's not something he normally does. And then trying to get to a three-point shooter. He just runs over the screener, Nigel Hayes.
Plumlee back into the game. See if Wisconsin could take advantage with Okafor on the bench, maybe for the rest of the half. We'll see how Mike Krzyzewski plays it. Jackson just does save it from an over and back. And good block out there by Plumlee, and a reach-in foul going against the Badgers. I think it was Hayes getting in there, and it was.
Wisconsin is getting a switch with Tyus Jones going on to Frank Kaminsky. It's happened probably 10 times, and they've not once been able to get the ball into Kaminsky, once because of the pressure.
Second foul on Hayes, Jay. He's got to go to the bench, and not the kind of foul that Bo Ryan's going to like, reaching in to try to slap the ball away 90 feet from their own basket.
Well, that'll keep him on the bench for the remainder of the first half. Bo Ryan doesn't usually play guys with 2 fouls.
Jefferson forces up a prayer, and that prayer is answered.
What a tough shot. And that was really good defense by Josh Gosser, just a better offensive play by Jefferson. Jefferson has really done a great job as a junior with his rebounding this year.
Jackson with a reverse. Second basket with the right hand for the lefty, Trayvon Jackson, to bring the Badgers back within 4.
Well, it shows his strength again. One of the stronger point guards in the country.
Suleiman misses the 3, saved by Kaminsky.
Well, how about those hands?
Jackson almost lost it. Backdoor. Decker! Jefferson quiets the crowd with a baseline jumper. Nice two-man game with him and Suleiman.
You don't often think of Emil Jefferson from Philadelphia as a pick-and-pop guy. But he caught the ball in good rhythm, let that thing go after that shot he made over Josh Gosser. He's got some confidence.
So back and forth they go, long stretches without a whistle. And the Blue Devils, with 3 freshmen in the starting lineup, playing their first true road game and handling themselves well here in Madison thus far. Nice pass from Gosser to Dukin. And another tap out by Kaminsky, but it finds Jones.
And that tap out almost starts a break for Duke. Rasheed Suleiman had switched out on Frank Kaminsky, and the pressure would not allow Wisconsin to take advantage of it. You would think they'd be able to pick that apart, but they can't really see in.
Duke looking like they're trying to figure out what they're in offensively right now as the shot clock ticks down. So Suleiman going to try to make a play himself, and Plumlee in the right place at the right time, and Kaminsky is shaken up.
He took one right in the gut when Rasheed Suleiman drove in there.
A timeout on the floor, and we will check on the status of Frank Kaminsky when we come back to Madison.
Okay, fans, it's time for the Badger Rewind, presented by Unity Health Insurance. In wrestling action from Sunday afternoon, Ryan Taylor's pin to open the match led the Badgers to victory as Wisconsin defeated North Dakota State 25-9. And on Saturday night at Camp Randall, the Badgers defeated Minnesota 34-24 to retain Paul Bunyan's axe and win the Big Ten West Division title. Now joining us, Blue Dragons members,
he's okay. He was actually laughing with the officials during the timeout, but he'll sit down for a bit. So it's Duke and Vito Brown into the game for the first time for the Badgers. And then 3 guards, Gosser, Jackson, Koenig. Sometimes we see Wisconsin go with the so-called Redwoods lineup, 1 guard, 4 bigs. Now they're 3 guards, 2 bigs.
I think the Redwoods lineup against this Duke team, it's a difficult ball handling lineup, and Duke is putting a lot of pressure and forcing guys to dribble. So I think Bo Ryan would like to have a better handling lineup out there. And right now, Dan, Duke's shooting 63% from the field. They've got 16 points in the paint. They're getting the shots that they want. Wisconsin right now getting more threes, not really getting the shots that they want.
And Duke playing very well without Quinn Cook and Jahlil Okafor, both on the bench with 2 fouls.
Yeah, 11 of Duke's points have come from their bench guys. Suleiman's come in and done a nice job, as has Matt Jones.
Jackson driving again. Gosser posting on Suleiman. Brown just inside the arc, knocks it down.
Seems like whoever Bo Ryan brings into the game, they can all dribble, pass, and shoot.
Now a sophomore out of Bowling Green, Ohio, makes it a 4-point game. Strong drive by Winslow, but a travel is the call as the freshman turns it over.
Well, Josh Gosser just seemed like he got on the wrong side of Justice Winslow. Winslow, who's a left-hander, just blew by him off the dribble. And that's unusual for Josh Gosser to let somebody get past him like that.
Well, with 3 guards in there for Wisconsin, it means 1 bigger guy for Duke has to guard a guard. And Winslow found himself on Koenig. Now the switch finds Plumlee on Koenig. See if Wisconsin can exploit some of these mismatches.
They just switch back. And Gosser's going to have to drive this. They're just playing with the ball. Go by somebody, especially when you have a big guy on the perimeter.
5 to shoot. 3 by Jackson. Duke in. Great job on the offensive glass.
When you talk about an improved player, Douye Duken is a really good basketball player. Can knock down threes. He's big and strong.
Winslow no. Plumlee gathers, loses it. And the Badgers with a chance to tie or take the lead.
Well, you'd better be strong inside. There's contact. You got to deal with it.
What a great pass from Gosser to Brown. Takes on number 1 Kentucky at 7 Eastern on Friday night from Rupp Arena. Then at 9 Eastern, it'll be Florida at Kansas. More great basketball coming here in Jimmy V Week.
You know, Dan, Duke and Wisconsin are number 1 and number 2 in the country in offensive efficiency. You know who number 3 is? Kentucky.
Really?
Now that surprised me.
Wow.
You know, Kentucky's very good offensively, but I didn't think they were number 3 in the country.
Well, Wisconsin has been very efficient over about the last minute and a half. Vito Brown with a jumper, then later a great pass from Gosser to Duke, and these 2 talented teams are all tied up.
National championships at Wisconsin-Platteville, coached for a couple years at Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and has done things unprecedented at Wisconsin in his tenure here. Turned it into a national power.
Cook. And Duke might have gotten a piece of that, and it's going to be Wisconsin ball.
Boy, that's really good defense by Wisconsin, forcing Quinn Cook to finish and not allowing him to drop it off to Okafor.
Mike Krzyzewski was talking to us this morning about how he told his players, you know, these guys are huge. You're going to be a bit taken aback by the height of some of these Wisconsin players. With Kaminsky at 7 foot, Dukin 6'10", Decker a long 6'9", even Gosser, who plays the point sometimes, is 6'4".
And they play on the perimeter, they play inside, their guards will post, their big guys will shoot threes. They put you in unusual positions to have to defend. Really what Wisconsin is after is they want to get you one-on-one in the post.
Shot clock down to 4. Gosser. And the rebound down to Jones. Here's a good look for Cook. And Duke is back on top.
Boy, that was a really nice job by Duke of pushing the ball up the floor after the miss in a controlled fashion and finding an open three-point shooter.
Jones and Cook in the early part of the season, Jay, done a great job playing together in the backcourt. And another good move on the inside by Trayvon Jackson.
And because of the shooters Wisconsin has on the floor, there's really no help side. So Trayvon Jackson able to get all the way to the basket and just bully Duke to get there. And Duke is shooting the eyes out of him.
Yep. Tyus Jones knocks it down. Duke is shooting 61% from the field, 14 of 23.
Well, it's been any shot they want for the most part. And they're getting into the lane, getting to the basket. One thing they're not doing is getting to the free throw line. Wisconsin not fouling.
Kaminsky gathers, and the turnaround is good. And the Badgers back within 2.
Tough cover for Jahlil Okafor with those 2 fouls, having to guard Kaminsky off the dribble.
Jones rattles home a 3.
Boy, these Duke freshmen are not at all bothered by this stage. They seem to relish it.
And they're back on top by 5 into the final 2 minutes of the first half. Koenig against a very good defender in Matt Jones. Okafor's got to be careful with Kaminsky.
That was good help by Matt Jones on that drive. Otherwise, Kaminsky would have gotten all the way to the rim.
Gosser scoops it up and in. Duke pushing it down the court. Cook over Gosser, misses the 3.
That was a bad one. Duke was feeling it, but that one was not an open shot. That was over the outstretched arm of Gosser.
Koenig misses wide right on a long 2, and here comes Winslow. Long pass over the head of Okafor, and Mike Krzyzewski is not pleased. Coming up on the Mazda halftime report, Kevin Connors, Seth Greenberg will be back along with Jay. They'll break down the first half of this game and look at Carolina struggling. They lost at home to Iowa tonight. Another game, another big game in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Saw Notre Dame defeat Michigan State in overtime. Although the Big Ten has already clinched the challenge after the 2 conferences tied each of the last 2 years. Decker's had a very quiet first half.
Awful lot of dribbling by Wisconsin, and they're further out on the floor than I think they'd like to be, getting forced a little bit further out. There's the switch with Emil Jefferson on Jackson. It looked like Wisconsin was confused there, trying to get the ball inside to Kaminsky, and Jackson just threw it away.
And Duke can hold it for the final shot of the first half.
This is one of these things where Duke, if they can get the last score of the first half, they've got the ball, they've got the arrow to start the second half. A little bit of a silent run they could have.
Winslow travels. And Bo Ryan will use a timeout to try to set up a final look for the Badgers here in the first half. Well, it is Jimmy V week here on the ESPN family of networks, and we're asking you to help us.
It'll be interesting to see how Wisconsin reacts in the second half to Duke switching. It was very disruptive in the first half. Are they going to be able to react to it and get the ball inside and take advantage of some of the mismatches that they created?
60% shooting for Duke in the first half, 15 for 25. Look at the free throws. Duke didn't get to the line. Wisconsin only did twice. Neither team got into the bonus in the first half. When's the last time you watched a game that had that? The game had very few whistles, a lot of continuous action, but at times seemed to lack that extra punch. We'll see if that comes here in the second half. Okafor and Cook both spent part of the half on the bench with 2 fouls as Okafor turns it over here to begin the second half.
Well, don't you feel like Bo Ryan's got to be a little bit pleased that the Badgers allowed Duke to shoot 60% in the first half, 5 of 9 from 3, and yet they're only down a bucket?
Yep. This is the 3rd ever meeting. The first 2 both came in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Each team won once, each team winning on their home court. Kaminsky over Jefferson, and Frank Kaminsky is into double figures now with 10.
Now Bo Ryan trying to isolate Frank Kaminsky and let him go one-on-one.
And Jackson called for a foul on a 3-point attempt by Tyus Jones, and he's going to the bench.
Kaminsky just posting up just outside the elbow And he's got one-on-one in the post against Emile Jefferson, who's a very good defender. Doesn't have the bulk of Kaminsky, but Kaminsky showing great footwork. And that's a really difficult and nice shot that he was able to hit on the right side of the floor.
Meanwhile, 3 freebies here for Jones, who certainly hasn't been playing like a freshman in his first true road game. He's had an outstanding night so far. And Trayvon Jackson, after committing the cardinal sin of fouling a three-point shooter, goes to the bench, and Bronson Koenig will take his place.
Yeah, Jackson very upset with himself when he hit Tyus Jones's hand on that follow-through.
Cost him 3 points.
Jones, high school friends with Jahlil Okafor, even though he grew up in Minnesota, and Okafor grew up in Chicago. A lot of people called him kind of a package deal, but he does not play like a teenager out on the floor. Duke doing all this switching. That almost looked like a zone that they're playing.
Sam Dekker gets the corner 3 to go. For Dekker now 5 points. He had a very quiet first half. The matchup of Dekker and Winslow never really materialized in the first half.
Yeah, Winslow did not score in the first half. Dekker just had that backdoor dunk, and that was it. Took a couple of bad shots.
Here's Okafor. Again, muscling Kaminsky right in under the rim.
Boy, Okafor saw Kaminsky's footwork on one end and then showed Kaminsky his footwork up close. That was a great move along the baseline.
A nice post feed from Winslow, too, to get it into Okafor.
Now, the deeper post position he gets, he can bury you down the post, and you're done the deeper he catches it.
Koenig off to Dekker. Dekker off to Gosser. Count it!
Well, how good is that movement against the grain?
Here comes the Grateful Red. Okafor outside the paint now, spinning over Kaminsky, no, and Hayes down with a rebound for Wisconsin. He had 2 fouls in the first half, and it was not as much of a factor as he normally is.
Well, Bo Ryan letting Frank Kaminsky go one-on-one defensively on Okafor, and Kaminsky just makes him shoot over. Not going to foul him, going to make him take a tough shot. If he makes it, congrats.
Look at Koenig in the post. And the rebound down to Emile Jefferson, who's having a big season on the glass, averaging almost 9 boards per game. In particular, he's an outstanding offensive rebounder. Wild shot by Jones won't go. And Winslow has it and draws the foul on Hayes, his third. Coach K starting 3 freshmen, Okafor, Winslow, Jones. The last time he started 3 or more freshmen, as much as he has this year, was 1986, when he started 4 freshmen for the most part, including a youthful-looking Jay Billis.
Well, the results weren't so hot back then when you started with so many freshmen. What a great play by Tyus Jones.
I said 86. I meant 82, 83, right? 82, 83. Forgive me. 86 was the year you went to the Final Four.
Who can remember that far back? That was actually the #1 recruiting class in the country. No thanks to me, but Johnny Dawkins, Mark Allery, and David Henderson.
That is a great group, and that group matured into the group that went to the Final Four, in fact, to the national championship game in 1986 before losing to Louisville, right?
That was back when Mike Krzyzewski was a young man and his hair was the same color.
Jones, Tyus Jones, that is, at the free throw line again for Duke.
Was that the first free throw they've shot? Outside of that was really the first free throw outside of that foul on the three-point shot. No free throws in the first half for Duke. I can't remember the last time they went a whole half without shooting a foul shot.
Duke is 3 for 4 from the line. Wisconsin, rather, is 2 for 2 from the line. That's it. Duke misses a putback. Dekker misses a tip. Still loose. And Dekker comes out with it. And a fresh 35 now for the Badgers. Koenig asking for the screen.
Tyus Jones was on Douye Dukin. Good fake.
Got 2 men in the air. Misses the floater, though, and now Duke with a chance to run. Jones into the chest of Gosser. It's an offensive foul. Mike Krzyzewski is sliding down the sideline as if to say to the official that Gosser was sliding on D.
Just a terrific outlet pass by Jahlil Okafor, and that's one of the reasons, Dan, that the charge block call needs an overhaul. The game tried to overhaul it, but they wouldn't stick with it. It's just something that the game's going to have to live with now.
Kaminsky with a couple of early threes in this game. Way back at the beginning of the first half. Now Decker finds a lane. And Wisconsin, the last 3 or 4 times down the floor, Jay, have had good looks around the rim and haven't been able to finish.
Well, they've been getting bumped a little bit, but you got to go through that contact and finish plays. And Sam Decker usually a lot stronger than that. You know, he grew 2 inches over the summer. 6'7" into the summer, 6'9" out of it.
Okafor fouled by Kaminsky. Timeout on the floor as the battle of the big men continues here in this top 5 matchup in Madison. The senior Kaminsky double figures with 10 to lead the Badgers. The freshman.
He knows exactly where he is under the basket, gets Kaminsky to overcommit, and then spins back for the easy layup. Both of them have been very efficient.
Although it was a little bit of a slog in the first half for Okafor, not getting the ball quite as much. He's been much more active in this second half.
Winslow around and out. He is still scoreless in this game. Nigel Hayes has played 13 minutes. He's had some foul trouble, and all he's got is 1 rebound, no points for the Badgers.
We got 2 early fouls and got that 3rd foul early in the second half, and he's been hamstrung a little bit with that foul trouble. He needs to be aggressive.
And he was, and it pays off. He just took the freshman to school down on the post.
Wisconsin, instead of setting so many screens and getting switches, just trying to isolate guys and mismatches in those posts. Not that that's a mismatch, because Justice Winslow is big and strong, but Nigel Hayes is bigger and longer. And Hayes just able to get around him and get all the way to the rim with no help coming over.
And he sent Winslow all the way to the bench after he blew by him in the post. Emil Jefferson is back in now to try to contain Hayes. First lead for Wisconsin since it was 12-9 about 8 minutes into the game. Jones with a drive, fouled by Koenig.
Boy, Jones has done a terrific job of getting an angle and getting into the lane and putting pressure on the rim.
25 minutes into this game, from what you've seen, both of these teams worthy of the top 5 rankings that they've got?
No question. I mean, Wisconsin plays a little bit of a different style, but they're so skilled at so many different positions. And they're really solid defensively. It's a kind of a bend, don't break philosophy defensively. And Duke can really score.
Yep.
I mean, this team it's so young in spots, starting 3 freshmen. But these guys do not play like young players. They played on big stages before in high school, and they are not at all intimidated.
Duke is averaging better than 90 points per game, and they lead the nation in points per possession, over 1.3 points per possession. They're also in the top 5 in the country in assists, and they're number 1 in the nation in assist to turnover ratio.
And now Suleiman had switched off on Kaminsky. Now he's on Hayes.
Gossard kicks it back out to Kaminsky. Shot clock at 6. Dukin on a drive this time, and a good rebound by Jefferson.
Wisconsin being put in some odd spots with these switches, and they're trying to attack it, but it's not normally what they do, and they look out of sync as a result of it. These switches have been really disruptive to Wisconsin.
Suleiman gets the roll, and Duke is back on top. Suleiman is fired up.
I mean, there's no hesitation on the part of some of Duke's shooters when they get an opening to put up a 3.
Jackson in and out, down with the rebound is Jones, and the Blue Devils look to extend the lead. Nice crossover. And the finish for the freshman. What a play.
Well, Jones got the mismatch with Nigel Hayes on him, foul trouble and all, and just blew right by him and scored over him. What a play by Tyus Jones.
A game-high 16 for the freshman, Tyus Jones. On the weekend, Jonathan Holmes is off to some kind of a start this season. And Kentucky, a perfect 7-0 coming at you in waves.
Kentucky has 9 McDonald's All-Americans as well, and 10 guys that can really play. That's why that platoon system can work. And you're right about them coming at you in waves. It's like a system in hockey where you have a line change every few minutes.
Kaminsky triple team, gives it up. Decker, as Kaminsky reposts, has Jones on him. And around and out. Again, the Badgers have had a number of opportunities from about 6 feet and in. Pretty good looks that haven't gone down.
Well, Duke has had a year this year where they passed the ball extraordinarily well. They have assists on 2/3 of their buckets. They've only got 6 assists in this game. Bad pass there by Rashid Suleiman, but they're able to go one-on-one, take their guys off the dribble and get to the basket or set up a pass back out. There's a switch. You need to get the ball inside, but the pressure Gosser couldn't see to Hayes.
Kaminsky. And is fouled by Okafor.
Yeah, Dan, you're not going to see many 7-footers that can put the ball on the floor and take 3 dribbles into the lane with the left hand and spin back right like that and have the footwork not to walk. And Frank Kaminsky is one of those guys, if not the only one.
And the foul not on Okafor. Suleiman coming down to help, picked up the foul. That'll be his first. Okafor had 2 in the first half, is still at 2 right now. Nigel Hayes is the only player in the game with 3 fouls. Kaminsky, who was a backup his first 2 years and then really burst onto the scene as a star last year, came back, says he loves college, doesn't want to grow up before he has to, so came back for his senior season.
With 43 points against North Dakota early in the year.
Nice floater.
Just a quick hitter by Duke, and Suleiman has come into this game and played extraordinarily well.
Yep.
He's an excellent defender.
Remember last year he played himself out of the starting lineup, Jade. In fact, had a game against Michigan where he didn't play at all. He really had to work himself back into the rotation. Reportedly came into the year last year not in the greatest of shape, but he looks like a much more intense and focused player here this year.
Well, last year that game he had against Virginia had 21 points in a game at Cameron, including the game winner after Emil Jefferson found him after an offensive rebound. And that was a huge basket, not only for Duke, but for Rashid Suleiman to sort of get himself back into it. Hit that game-tying shot at Syracuse up in the Carrier Dome. And this year he's not playing near as many minutes, but he's been very efficient in the minutes that he's played.
And speaking of efficient, Marshall Plumlee checks into the game now for the Blue Devils. Plumlee this year in limited minutes has made 9 of his 11 shots and all 10 of his free throws. Nice spin move by Kaminsky, and he'll be heading back to the free throw line. We have a timeout on the floor. Duke up by 6. Badgers to the line when we come back to Madison. The V Foundation awards 100% of direct donations and net proceeds of events to fund cancer research. Log on to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V to donate. Kaminsky at the line brings the Badgers back within 5. Kaminsky's had to work hard tonight. 4 for 9, 12 points, 6 rebounds. Misses a free throw. Decker had it and lost it.
Well, that's one where Decker, if he could have held on to that ball, not only a stick-back opportunity, but maybe could have kicked it out for an open 3.
Okafor getting ready to check back in for the Blue Devils at the next opportunity. Both teams 7-0. Duke ranked 4th, Wisconsin ranked 2nd. Suleiman playing well tonight. Jefferson steps into an 18-footer, misses wide right, tapped out by Plumlee, but into the hands of Dukin.
Well, Jefferson had a lot of time to pull the trigger on that shot.
Can they get Decker going? Can they get him involved in the offense somehow? Again into Kaminsky.
One-on-one in the post against Plumlee.
And draws another foul.
But how about that shot fake? Just a subtle little fake, gets Plumlee into the air, draws another defender, and Kaminsky can go right into that defender. You know, one-on-one, it is hard to imagine him being stopped. I mean, he may miss, but it's going to be awfully difficult to stop him. Last year in the NCAA tournament against Arizona, you mentioned it, Danny, had 28 points, 11 rebounds. They couldn't guard him with one guy.
Yep.
And Duke's having some of the same issues in this second half. Bo Ryan been able to isolate him in the low post. Running offense where he's screening just gets him into a switch situation. They've not been able to take advantage of the mismatch because of the pressure on the passer. It's been very disruptive.
Couple of free throws bring the crowd back to life.
Wisconsin needs a stop to get this crowd into it.
Matt Jones and a foul on Dukin. And a look of disbelief on his face. And a look of anger on the face of Bo Ryan after that call.
What the referees will say is he brought his arms down, that he wasn't straight up. A lot of coaches will say, hey, you have to have your elbows behind your ears. But he brought those arms down, and that way Jones could go into the contact and draw the foul.
Vito Brown into the game, and Kaminsky will get a breather. Well, when you look at some of the numbers being put up by the respective backcourts in this game, advantage Duke, led by Tyus Jones, the freshman. He's got 16 of those 36.
Well, Jones has been great off the dribble. He's hit a couple of threes in transition, but he's done most of his damage off the bounce.
4-point lead, Blue Devils on the road here in Madison.
With Trayvon Jackson in the game, I think Jackson can drive some of these switches if he gets a bigger guy on him. Brown's got Cook on him inside.
Stop and go by Jackson, pulls up for the jumper and knocks it down. You talked about the hesitation in his game in the first half.
Well, he's looking to drive Matt Jones and pulled up when he backed off. That was a really nice play by Trayvon Jackson.
That's the third or fourth time we've seen some stop-and-go moves from him that have worked out well. Now Winslow, who's been having a tough night with his first points of the game.
Just a catch-and-shoot opportunity. Nigel Hayes just too slow getting back to him.
And Duke continues to shoot the lights out here at the Kohl Center. Brown is wide open.
Just hesitated on that a little bit.
That ball's loose, and had Gosser turned, it would have bounced right to him. Good hustle by Hayes to knock it out of bounds.
Boy, nice play by Nigel Hayes. That would have been either a three shot fake or a drive by Jones if he were allowed to catch that.
Bo Ryan substituting freely here tonight among his top 8. Koenig back in, Gosser to the bench.
Gosser goes to the bench absolutely exhausted just because of how hard he plays. Not a tougher player in the Big Ten than Josh Gosser.
2 years ago, missed the entire season, tearing his ACL. Wore a brace last year. The brace has come off. And he's now a fifth-year senior for the Badgers. Here's Okafor. Trying to back down Vito Brown. Turn around over him. He'll go, and the lead grows to 7. That is the largest lead for either team in the game tonight.
Boy, initially that quick spin that Okafor makes, so difficult to guard.
Okafor the rebound off the miss by Hayes.
And Okafor going against Quinn Cook. Or excuse me, Hayes going against Quinn Cook. Okafor coming down the rebound, but that's a play that he's got to make. If you're going against a smaller defender, you got to score or get fouled then.
Frank Kaminsky getting ready to check back in. Do they try to get it down to Okafor again with a Brown on him? Down to 10. Cook keeps the dribble alive. Floater, yes!
Well, how about that step back and going right around Sam Decker? What a big-time move.
And the backcourt, whether it's Jones, whether it's Cook, continues to shine for the Blue Devils here tonight.
So many one-on-one moves made by Duke's guards. Tyus Jones, and then here, Quinn Cook with Sam Decker on him. Just backs him off and then just makes a quick blow-by move with the floater in the lane off the glass. Boy, that is really pretty. Quinn Cook has had a really good game, but he's had a great year, more importantly, for Duke.
Sunday, the selection committee's final rankings will be revealed. Find out who is in the college football playoff selection show presented by AT&T. Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. And watch ESPN. You see Ohio State on the outside looking in right now. Number 5, of course, they'll take on to Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game Saturday down in Indianapolis. Alabama, Oregon, TCU, and Florida State in that order. right now occupying the 4 spots.
And one of those on the selection committee for the college football playoff is Wisconsin Athletic Director Barry Alvarez. Each member of that committee, they spend a couple days a week in Dallas. Hole up in some conference room making all those decisions. That's quite a time commitment for everybody on the committee.
Hayes. And another miss around the rim. The ball will stay with Wisconsin. But how many opportunities have they had, especially here in the second half, for layups and putbacks?
Boy, they've had a lot of opportunities, but they've had smaller guys in front of them, and that's been a little bit disruptive because all this switching. They haven't handled it, I know, as well as they'd like.
Jackson into traffic, draws the foul.
I think Wisconsin's got a lot of opportunities to drive the ball, especially Trayvon Jackson. When he gets that chance, he should take it because he can. If he gets one-on-one, he's strong enough to go into either Quinn Cook or Tyus Jones, but he can also dish it if there's help.
Look at the shooting by the Blue Devils tonight. 60% in the first half, and even better than that here in the second half. Well, free throw will snap a 7-0 run by Duke.
This is a really good offensive team. I think the question coming into the season was how good would Duke be defensively? You know, last year it wasn't a great defensive team. This year much better defensively, much better putting pressure on the ball. Wisconsin needs a stop here. This team's at home and needs to make a stand to get this crowd into it and get something going.
Cook.
Nice pass.
And Okafor, the recipient. Beautiful play by Quinn Cook.
He drew Frank Kaminsky over from the weak side. Nobody rotated down. Just a quick drop-off, easy basket.
And it's back to 9 for the Blue Devils. Jackson knocks it down to 6. Jackson playing well tonight. 15 points to lead the Badgers.
He's really attacked.
One-on-one. The 2 centers, the 2 All-American candidates, and how about that? Okafor not just a post player.
No, he's got a ridiculous touch. You know, when he shoots the ball off the glass, it just dives into the basket.
Koenig into the paint.
Nice pass.
Kaminsky, and he is fouled on the drive by Okafor.
Well, the Duke guards have been able to beat Wisconsin off the dribble, whether it's been Tyus Jones or Quinn Cook. Here, Quinn Cook getting just past Josh Gosser. That draws Frank Kaminsky over. That's what you call an easy basket. Emphatic by Jahlil Okafor.
7:09 to go in the second half. Jay's going to show us how the Badgers are trying to use Frank Kaminsky to their advantage down on the post.
Well, Duke is switching, so they're switching out on screens and exchanges. So now all of a sudden you got a point guard guarding Frank Kaminsky. It's been disruptive. They've not been able to take advantage of it. He drives that, angled out, and all of a sudden he's got a triple team. So Duke is helping very well and recovering, even though they've had mismatches. A mismatch inside, but because of the pressure on the ball, the bad angle, they weren't able to get a clean post feed, and you can get help over there, so Kaminsky's shooting over 2 guys. This switching has been very disruptive to Wisconsin's offense.
Wisconsin shot only 35% in the second half. And Dan, how about this? Duke shooting 71%, 10 of 14 in the second half. That's remarkable.
And 64% of the game. Sports Center comes your way live from the Kohl Center here in Madison. Kevin Connors, John Buccigrasser here with all kinds of post-game reaction to this one and a look at the entire ACC Big Ten Challenge. Kaminsky hit 2 threes, Jay, in the first few minutes of the game, and has been almost entirely a post player since. He's very good at both, but has Duke taken away the 3 from Kaminsky, or have the Badgers gone away from him?
Well, it's been a little bit of both, but I think they've taken away mostly, and they've tried to isolate him on one side and let him go one-on-one because it's been difficult because of the switching for him to get an open look. And Duke's done a very good job in the second half of beating this Wisconsin team off the dribble and then getting it inside to Okafor and letting him go one-on-one.
Kaminsky down with his 7th rebound of the game. Jackson off to Hayes, and he's called for the offensive foul. Winslow stepping in to take the charge, and for Hayes, that'll be his 4th.
Boy, tough night for Nigel Hayes. I'm not sure that Trayvon Jackson shouldn't have taken that all the way himself, but nice job by Winslow to get back. And look, there hasn't been a clean charge taken in this game. Josh Gosser took a charge earlier that was called a charge. This was a block. The one with Gosser was a block. The truth is 75% of these charge block calls are blocks.
So Hayes to the bench. Duke with the ball in a 7-point lead.
Duke's been able to go one-on-one. They haven't had a lot of assists because they haven't drawn a lot of help, so they can finish those plays on their own.
Battle inside, and now Okafor out to set a screen. Goes around Kaminsky and draws the foul. And Kaminsky with his hands clasping the back of his head in disbelief at the call.
Boy, so quick. Jahlil Okafor is 6'10", almost 6'11", 270 pounds. Look at that burst of quickness just getting past Frank Kaminsky in the post. Usually you make a big guy catch it a step or two off the low block and the defenders won the battle. But not with Okafor. That's why he's the presumptive #1 pick in the draft.
He's been a very efficient 6 of 8 from the floor tonight, as he gets a very friendly bounce on the free throw. Okafor now with 13 points and 5 rebounds in the game.
It's been remarkable, really, the ease with which Duke has gotten the shot it wants, not only in the first half, but even more so in the second. Well, this is a good Wisconsin defensive team. And Duke has really cut them up. Now Wisconsin trying to lift up that Duke defense to try to get some driving lanes. Not going to mismatch here.
And Jackson over Okafor for the 3. Trayvon Jackson keeping the Badgers in it right now.
He's come in and he's attacked. Whether it's off the dribble, you lay off him and he knocks down a shot.
Game high 18. Fans now rising to their feet here at the Kohl Center. And a timeout for Mike Krzyzewski. We will keep it here and take another look at another 3 by Trayvon Jackson.
You know, Trayvon Jackson's been one of the few guys that has really successfully attacked these switches. The screen, kind of pick and roll action up top.
Ball going back to the Badgers. Other than Jackson and Kaminsky, nobody else for Wisconsin has more than 5 points in the game.
Well, Wisconsin got a stop after the timeout. Now they have to follow it up and get a score. And when you're trailing, you need consecutive stops followed by scores. There's the switch.
Jackson the drive. And Okafor the foul. That'll be number 3. I believe that's 4. I believe that is 4 on Jahlil Okafor. It is the 4th on the freshman.
Trayvon Jackson has made so many smart decisions off those switches, getting Okafor in the middle of the floor where he can either pull up with some space or drive on by. And he showed his strength there, getting into his body and still getting a shot off. Didn't complete it, but that was a huge play by Trayvon Jackson.
And Okafor goes to the bench, and it's not Plumlee coming in. It is Emile Jefferson coming in. So the first time tonight that Duke goes without one of their true centers in the game. A much smaller lineup for the Blue Devils and a much louder building than it was just a minute ago. Suleiman from the elbow. He has had some kind of a night.
Just off that elbow ball screen, and he came off firing. Well, when you get this kind of productivity off your bench, makes you that much more difficult to beat, especially on the road. Suleiman has been excellent. Another switch. See, Kaminsky's got to get the ball. He's got Quinn Cook on him.
Instead, it's Jackson with a drive, throws up a right-handed prayer, and Suleiman down with a rebound.
Now, Wisconsin didn't improve their passing angle, taking a couple dribbles down. Kaminsky's got a point guard on him. He has got to get the ball. Big possession.
Suleiman again. Not this time, and Kaminsky the rebound.
Well, Duke just ran the same play that they did to get Suleiman that open jumper. Took it all the way to the basket, just couldn't finish it.
We go under 4 minutes to go. Kaminsky surrounded. Duke ball. Tyus Jones in attack mode lays it in.
What a defensive sequence for Duke. Kaminsky puts the ball on the floor, drew a crowd, they took it away, and 2 points as a result.
Now Kaminsky in the post. With a smaller defender on him, left it short. And Jefferson wraps up the rebound.
That looked like a tired finish by Frank Kaminsky. You don't see him miss those very often.
It was 3 moments ago, and they had the mismatch in the post, didn't get the ball in there. Now it's 7, and Duke's got the ball as we near the final 3 minutes.
Duke scores here, they can make it a 3-possession game. 3 possessions of threes.
Jefferson. And that's going to be a goaltending call on Kaminsky to extend the lead to 9. It's been all Duke in the last couple of minutes, and the guard play for the Blue Devils has been fantastic tonight. Sullivan off the bench with a dozen. And then Tyus Jones with a loose ball, the drive, and the lay-in. And Duke's up 9.
End of the Sixers-Wolf game. That never happens. Bucci and I.
Yeah, after the game.
All right, guys, thanks. Well, something going on here that almost never happens. A team shooting better than 60% against the Badgers. The last time somebody did that was the Florida Gators back in 2012. Duke is shooting 64% in this game, and they've got a 9-point lead with 2:40 to go.
Well, Duke's getting all the way to the rim. And that's resulted in some easier looks.
Hayes lost it, and it will be Wisconsin ball. SEC Big 12 doubleheader comes your way Friday night. It begins at 7 Eastern time. Freshman to phenom Miles Turner and the Longhorns taking on the #1 team of the nation, Kentucky. And then at 9, just talked about the Florida Gators. This year's version of the Gators will take on Kansas.
And Florida right now having to manufacture points. Billy Donovan doesn't have that low post presence that he had last year in Patrick Young. So it's been difficult for Florida to score.
Gasser at the line, knocks down the first. Okafor back for Jefferson.
2:32 to go in regulation. If Gasser makes this, he got a 7-point game, and Wisconsin's got to figure out a way to get a stop. Well, Duke right now can use some clock. They're not looking to burn it, but they can use some clock and then attack.
That's just what they're doing.
They're in a 2-3 set right now. Krzyzewski used to call that 2-3 motion. Then they can get in and call a set and go the last 10 seconds of the clock.
Tyus Jones, who's had a sensational night, adds to his totals with a 3.
Well, he got Bronson Koenig just to back up a touch and had his arms down. I'm not sure whether he had his foot on the line, but that was a huge shot.
They're going to take a look at it right now to see, and I think they're going to change it to a 2. He was behind the line, but then it looks like he kind of jabbed with the right foot inside the line right there. Yeah, so it will be a 2 for Jones.
Boy, if you don't have a hand up, he is unafraid to pull the trigger. See Bronson Koenig with his arms down, and too late to get him up and really bother that shot by Tyus Jones. He has been magnificent on the road in his first big-time road game.
Jay, how about 20 points, 4 assists, and 1 turnover in 34 minutes? Jackson trying to keep the Badgers in it. Timeout, Wisconsin.
And Jackson has been equally good. Well, he has made some huge plays to keep Wisconsin in this in a 2-possession game now. That was a gigantic shot for Wisconsin.
23 for Jackson.
Same kind of deal. You just go underneath. You go underneath Frank Kaminsky. He's going to pull the trigger on that. He has done a really nice job when he's gotten a switch. He's been able to either drive it or pull up. And what would Wisconsin be doing without Trayvon Jackson in this ball game? He's been great.
Usually a team that features a lot of balanced scoring. That hasn't been the case tonight. It's been all Jackson and Kaminsky. The two of them have 38 of the 65 Badger points, whereas Duke has 4 players in double figures, led by Tyus Jones.
It's almost been surprising how the switching that Duke has put on in this ball game has bothered Wisconsin throughout the first 38 minutes of the game.
And they get the stop they need to keep momentum shifting towards them. A 6-point lead, and again the Blue Devils will show some patience on offense. Feels like Duke has had Wisconsin at arm's length almost the entire second half. The one exception is when the Badgers got it down to 3 a few minutes ago, and then couldn't execute at the offensive end, and Duke got a couple of scores.
11 seconds left on the shot clock. So Duke's going to want to get into something quickly. And one thing Wisconsin does not want to do here is foul. They want to be aggressive, but you don't want to foul. Oh, nice play.
And Winslow will slam it home on the feed by Okafor off the inbounds play.
And then a walk.
Wow. And frustration for the Badgers. You see it on the face of Jackson. You see it on the face of Kaminsky.
Boy, what a turnaround. Wisconsin able to cut it to 2 possessions. Winslow inbounding it, then comes right off for the cut and the dunk. Wisconsin unable to adjust, and then on the quick inbounds, Rasheed Suleiman was up and forced Trayvon Jackson to turn it over.
Well, what an impressive performance tonight by this young Duke team with 3 freshmen starting in their first true road game to come into a place where the Badgers hardly ever lose and to lead by 8 with just over a minute to go.
Well, Duke trying to salt it away, then turns the ball over. And whatever Wisconsin does here, they need to get a quick score. If you can get a 3, great, but you've really got to get a score. Get the ball to the rim, give yourself an opportunity to get fouled.
Final minute.
1 minute remaining in the game. 1 minute remaining.
Koenig got his man in the air. Into Kaminsky with good deep position to make it a 6-point game. Just 1 timeout remains for Wisconsin. There's the foul by Koenig.
And Quinn Cook, an excellent free throw shooter.
That is the 9th on the Badgers. So still 1-1 here for Cook.
Well, what an impressive performance by this young Duke team. And it is a young team starting 3 freshmen. They do have some older players, but their best players are their younger guys. And to be able to come into this atmosphere, this is a really difficult place to play, and this is an excellent Wisconsin team. I would not be surprised to see both of these teams in the Final Four.
Jackson driving, and Winslow fouls him right at the rim. Boy, Winslow has some things. He got called for a foul there, granted, but Jay, he's got some things you just can't teach in terms of athleticism.
Well, this superior athlete, left-handed. A lot of the NBA people I've talked to have said he reminds them a lot of James Harden. Boy, if that's a foul, that's caught him a little bit with the body, but that's a big-time athletic play. But one of the NBA guys I talked to said he's James Harden with defense. That's the way he sees him in the future. Didn't have a great game in this one, but certainly made some athletic plays that made you go, wow. And Trayvon Jackson made some plays, period, that made you go, wow. He was terrific.
Unless they can keep mounting a comeback here, won't be enough for the Badgers. Got it down to 6, but only 43 seconds left as Matt Jones comes into the game now for Duke. And Jefferson sits down.
Just looking for a quick steal, maybe a quick trap, and then he got a foul to extend the game.
Mike Krzyzewski with all kinds of ball handlers and good free throw shooters in the game right now. Nearly a steal by Koenig.
But Koenig is so quick.
And Mike Krzyzewski will use a timeout. If Duke wins this game, Jay, it'll be career win number 991. And they continue to shoot a ridiculous percentage in this game. 65% on the night for the Blue Devils. SportsCenter live from the Kohl Center. Kevin Connors, John Buccigross immediately following the conclusion of this one. The Big Ten has won the challenge, but here in this huge game, number 4 and number 2, it's the ACC team on the road looking to get out of here with a win. as they'll put Suleiman on the free throw line for 2.
Right, really this ACC Big Ten Challenge hadn't been close. I mean, the Big Ten's dominated.
Yep. They go back to the beginning of the challenge. The ACC won the first 10. Then the Big Ten won the next 3. It's been a tie each of the last 2 years. And the Big Ten are winning it rather handily here this year. SEC Big 12 Challenge kicks in tomorrow night. And again, Friday night, great doubleheader. Texas at Kentucky at 7. And then Florida at Kansas at 9. You know, it's never felt in the second half like Wisconsin's been out of it. But it's never felt like they're right on the verge of taking the lead either. The closest they got was 3, but every time they made a little run, either they hurt themselves or Duke just made plays.
And really, Wisconsin was never able to get their crowd in it.
Yeah,
so
which is shocking here.
It is surprising.
Yeah. Kaminsky misses. Hayes with a rebound and draws the foul.
We talk about a guy who wasn't able to get in the game. You know, I'm not sure we saw the real Nigel Hayes in this ball game. And you give all the credit to Duke for taking him out of it, but he picked up those early fouls, and he was never able to establish anything.
A win tonight for Duke will give Mike Krzyzewski a 25-13 record in top 5 matchups. 38 games in his career have involved both teams being in the top 5. You played in 5 of them, all in the same season, your senior year back in '86, twice against Carolina, twice against Georgia Tech, and then once against Kansas.
I can't remember that far back.
Well, I've got proof that you were there because it says it right here on this sheet of paper. You won 3 of those, lost to Carolina, lost to Georgia Tech, avenged both of those games, and then defeated Kansas. And that would have been the
Final Four.
In the semifinal,
yep.
Right? The national semifinal. Yep.
That the loss against North Carolina was the first game in the Dean Dome. That's how old I am. Right there with the ball. That's the player of the game. Tyus Jones has been the player of the game. If you had watched this game not knowing how old these players were, and somebody told you, yeah, he's a freshman, you wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah.
He's not played like a freshman.
Foul on Gosser. Pretty emotional week, really, for Wisconsin. Their next game, always a hotly contested game. They're going to go down to Milwaukee. They'll play at Marquette on the weekend.
Marquette had a great showing down in Orlando. Wound up finishing 3rd in that game, beating Georgia Tech in the first game, then beat Tennessee for 3rd place after dropping the semifinal to Michigan State. Matt Carlino against Georgia Tech, a guy who started at UCLA, played at BYU, had 38 points in that first game against the Yellow Jackets.
The Blue Devils on their way to a very impressive road win here in Madison. Led by their guards. Koenig pulls up for a 3. And here comes Quinn Cook. And Jackson will foul him with 11 seconds to go.
And Tyus Jones, the freshman from Minnesota, playing the point guard position. He moved Quinn Cook over to the 2 guard, pulling up from distance, attacking off the dribble in transition and finishing over size. And then if you have those arms down, back up just a little bit, he pulls up. And geez, now they're getting in a huddle and slapping the floor. New floor slapping techniques by Duke.
How about the last 2 games for Tyus Jones over a good Army team on the weekend? And 20-point win for Duke. Jones had 16 points, 10 assists, no turnovers. Tonight, 22 points, 4 assists, and 1 turnover. The assist-to-turnover ratio for Cook and Jones is ridiculous this year. And this is going to do it. The Duke Blue Devils come into Madison, subdue the crowd, subdue the Badgers, and the number 4 team of the nation emerges with an 80-70 road win to up their record to 8-0 and hand the Badgers their first loss of the season.
Well, Duke came into this game with a great game plan. The switching defensively, I thought, really disrupted Wisconsin on its offensive end. And there was never a time where Wisconsin really adjusted and was able to take advantage of it.
They were led by Tyus Jones with 22, Suleiman, Okafor, Quinn Cook also in double figures for the Blue Devils, who finish off the night shooting 65% of the game. as they defeated Wisconsin 80-70 in a very impressive performance for any team, especially that for a team that starts 3 freshmen making their first appearance in a true road game. The final